Okay guys, so what I'm trying to do in this video is braid this hair and give it like a bob effect. So you can see what I've done here. I'll put rubber bands at the end of the strands of hair, and you will notice that the hair is not that much that's left after. So what will happen when we're done, we'll nip off all the little bit of the excess hair to give it like a blunt finish. But it's equally not completely thick from, you know, from all the way down. It's narrowing down a little bit, but not much, just so as to give you a little bit of something to hold it together. So the other thing I also want you to see is how I've achieved being able to actually braid the hair in as much as it's really short. I'm able to get it in and really truly try my best to force the natural hair in so that you don't really notice the hair hanging out. Most people struggle with putting natural hair in braids, and especially when it's short and blunt as well. You have to try and stretch out the natural hair, stretch it so it blends into the braid easily. So that's one of the things I'll show you how I did it. So I've got my section and I'm working with the squares, which you can see. I've got my section and I get the braids in. So most times what happens is when you have really short hair, you should try and make your strands really small as well, so you can pick them quicker. But because it's bob, we can't put too much hair in because it will be too much to carry. So you can see I've got all that in, and now I'm trying to braid the blunt tips in. So you push it really in, see that little bits of hair, push it in and try and lift the extension over the strand of hair. You can still see the strand of hair, see how close they are to each other. Now in a normal situation, when you're braiding hair, the client's hair will stretch out, which is what we then call the natural tape, because they are not the same length. But when a client has cut their hair and the hair is growing back, they tend to be the same length, and then that becomes a problem when you're braiding it. So can you see that I've pushed it all in? And once I've really pushed it in, what I do there is the really tight stitches. Tight stitches is when you really stay close to each other like that. So you make sure everything really sits in. And once I'm finished with that, I naturally just love a bit of a loose braid, and especially for this bob, I want it to be free, so it sits really beautifully. I mean, there'll be a time we'll do a video on tight stitches. It's one of the ones I want to show you guys, but I just naturally fall for loose braids because it's a lot easier to handle. Even when you're taking it out, it's easier to take out. So now you can see I'm not pushing it too much to the tip. So all this I'm going to cut off, and then I'm going to put my rubber band there to hold it in place. So you kind of like use it to create like a knot at the tip. So you keep going in and out until you've gotten enough that you're happy with, and you pull your fingers through, and that's it. It's created a nice little knot there. Okay, so you can see we've carried on with our work. This is the back view. Remember, we're not putting too much in because A, the hair is short, and we don't want it to be too much on her head, and then B, we're trying to give it a bit of volume in each strand, so again it's not too heavy as well. So if you make the sections too small because the hair is short, it will be too much hair on her head. I mean, as it is now, it is a lot of hair for Bob, but we have no other option for raising the hair short. But yep, we are getting there, trying to force the blonde tips into the braid. And you're not going to get all of them really forced in, but it's just for you to know that when you're working with blonde tip hair, that will be a problem you're going to experience. And so our work is carrying on, and now we're at the crown, trying to finish it off. Remember that section whenever we're doing our braid, you get to the crown and you finish the front part. Okay, so as we've been showing you, we're nearly finished. You can see all the work we've done. This is all the back view, and then the sides, you can see how the squares carry on. You can see the bob just forming already, and so we're just at the point of finishing it off now. And so these are my last strands to finish. So again, remember the little tips. When you have hair that's blunt, you have to really push it in so it takes all that natural hair in. Yes, occasionally you have the little bits of hair coming out, but it's down to how you compress the natural hair into the strands of braids. And because the hair is short, naturally you want to give it smaller strands in order to get it better. But if you're creating like bob, you really can't do that. You have to give it bigger strands so that the hair is not too much on the client's head. So you see what I've done. So you really push it in. So then that's where the problem is. So push it, and firm your hand, and that becomes like really tight stitches. And once you're done with the natural hair, you could decide to let go and make it longer stitches. And that's it. So the next thing you'll be seeing is us finishing off the hair with the styling. Okay, so we finished our braids, and you can lift it. We're going to style this. I mean, I'll just move it around for you to see what I can do with it. But then again, because it's still very fresh, my client can't really do much with it, so we'll leave that part for now. The first thing you do is take away the tips of the hair. Remember, we use rubber band to hold the tips, so we're taking all that off because this is a bob look and it's meant to be blunt. So all of that goes off to give her that real bob effect. So I'm going to cut all of this off before I start the blow drying and styling. Okay, so next thing you do is I've just finished cutting it, and next thing you do is you put your mousse in it. And just put as much as possible because we're not going to dip this hair in water, so this is going to act as the heat. So it gets in, allow the hair to stay the way you braided it, the pattern you braided it with. So the next thing I'm going to do is to blow dry. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is blow drying. You can see how it automatically shows a lot of shine. Okay, so you can see how shiny and glossy this hair looks now that we finished blow drying it. Now remember, I did not dip this in water, so the blow drying creates the effect of the water. Now what I'm doing, I'm just picking strands and just styling the hair up. So because of the squares that we created, she can actually pick strands and create like a side pattern if she feels like it. So that gives you, sorry, see how glossy that looks. Or she can just let it drop the way it was originally done. So now it's just left to her to style the hair the way she feels like. And that's bob for you. So you don't have to dip it in water. You don't necessarily need water. Bob is just to have that blunt finish and give it volume in your strands. But because remember we had short hair, so we didn't want to put too much volume so that it's not too heavy. But it's up to you how you want to do it. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Remember to subscribe and share with your friends. Give us a thumbs up.